Okay, we're going to give this a shot. We're going to see if this works. I think we might have it now. Let's try this out and see. Boom, boom, boom. There we are. All right, we're up. Sorry, guys. I really apologize for that. We're going to go ahead and give it a shot here. Here's our intro one more time in case you missed it the first time. All right, so there we go. Really looking forward to this session with you guys. You can go ahead and drop some comments and feel free to ask some questions. I do have the ability to follow you guys as you're on here and hear some comments. I'm doing a giveaway. So these are some Sims hats. Special thanks to Sims. I bought these and they were too big for my head. So we're going to give these away. I have a couple videos in the previous deal that some comments there. So I'm looking forward to sifting through some comments and trying to decide exactly what we got going on. So if I don't see any comments pop up here right now, I'm going to go ahead with the original plan. I checked on the Facebook page to see what we had going on for people that wanted flies, and I was asked to do something that kicks on the paws. And I've got some cool flies that do that. So we're going to go ahead and tie a predator fly today. Before I do, I'm going to go ahead and show you just some random things that I've figured in my hook tying stuff, or my hooks. You see these hooks here. What looks like 3 different size hooks, to be honest, there's 2 different size hooks. Really interesting. This is an Arex, and this is a Umpqua, both in 3/0. And then this is a Daiichi in 4/0, which is kind of funny because when you hold them together, they're legitimately the same size hook gap. So the stem is a little bit longer on that one. Just for kicks, and because of the size of the fly that I feel like tying, it's going to be a medium-sized fly. We're going to go ahead and use this Umpqua fly right here. So let's cut in to our vise and see what we got going on. I don't really have any. This is a freestyle, so I don't have any plan here, game plan specifically on how I'm going to tie these. But I do have one thing that I'm going to do is because in order to get a fly to kick real well, one of the things that you want to do is you want to. There's 2 things that I've learned, and I'm not an expert at this. I'm not like, the end all be all of fly tires. All right. So I'm doing this because we're all locked up and we need something to do. 2 things that I've realized that make a fly kick really well. And that's more weight in the back of the fly than in the front of the fly. So when you're pulling that in and you stop, it wants to move forward. And the second thing that I've learned is making a narrow head, like kind of making it like a sail. So when it catches water, it wants to go one way or the other. And then what happens is when that turns, the weight from behind it, that'll turn, will push it, and then it'll kind of jackknife on itself. And those are keys as far as I'm concerned. So where I'm starting here, just for some tips there. Thanks, Wild Found Fly. Awesome. Sorry, it's really small. Maybe I can increase that. There we go. Now my comments are popping up real big so I can see them. Questions too, guys. Ask me questions because I'm just chilling right now, and so we're gonna get into this and hang out. But I encourage questions. I'm using a 150 GSP right here. Going back to about where the barb is. There's no need to really go back into this bend. So if you want to win one of those hats, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And then leave me a comment. Those are the prerequisites to winning one of those hats. I also have a fly tying kit that I'm going to give away, which is right here. I have this kit, and this has stickers in it, but it's got all the materials to make the Davy Jones, which is on my YouTube channel as well. If you go into my tying videos, the Davy Jones is like a articulated popper that you can use. So I don't really have a solid plan for this right now. What's going on is I'm just starting out with some yellow bucktail, and so we're gonna go ahead and lay that in. We're not gonna reverse tie it or anything. We're just gonna lay it right in. And let me back this up for you just a little bit. There you go. We're just gonna lay that in, tie it down, straighten that out. Get it around there. Wrap it around like that. Flared out just a little bit more than I wanted it to. I know a lot of guys like that to flare out like crazy on the back end of there. I'm actually going to pin it down just a little bit more. And then I'm going to do some loose wraps to kind of pinch the rest of that down just a little bit and get it a little bit more tame. There we go. Come in here. Basically going to trim off those butt sections there. I'm going to come in with some hackle feathers. After that, first I'm going to glue this. Trapping these fibers down. I've been watching some Kelly Gallup tying videos, and one of the things that he was chatting about the other day, which I really appreciated, was talking about unnecessary thread wraps on your flies, which to me is a really important thing. Not so much, in my opinion, he might rebuke me on this. Not as important when it comes to predator flies, I don't think, just because you're wrapping a lot of materials around the back of that, and so it's one of those things where I'm gonna trim just a little bit of this. Unnecessary thread wraps on this type of a fly, I don't think is that much of a priority, because you're tying a big fly. It's a big shank. We're gonna do an articulated shank on the front of this, so I don't ever get the impression that, like, when you're tying a small dry fly or a small articulated streamer, I could totally understand why you want to make every wrap count. But it was a good thing for me to hear, and it's something that I'm trying to be conscious of the more I learn to tie. Like, every single wrap I want to have a specific purpose. So I'm gonna come in here with some hackle feathers. These back feathers are really, really thick. They're not quite what I want, but I do want some longer ones. So I'm gonna sift through this and see if I can find some that are longer but not super duper wide. There's no specific reason to that other than the fact that when I get up and I change colors and I get up toward the top of the fly, this green stuff that I have isn't very wide, and so I don't want to have like a super wide feather back here and then narrow feathers up front. If anything, you want to go the other way around. Narrow feathers and then wide feathers. And that's just for the profile is all that is. It's not necessarily because you need it does anything else to the fly as far as the way that it responds in the water. So let me just try to get quick here for you guys. This video will be relatively long, I promise you. So these look decent. There we go. We're gonna tie these in. Comments welcome. Comments welcome. Do it up. I'm sitting here by myself too, so go ahead and comment away. Looking to see what you guys are up to. I got out fishing the other day. I did. I got out just for a little while. And I actually have a little video here that I'm going to play you in just a little bit, a couple minutes here, of my day out on the water. I wasn't predator fishing at all. I was not using anything near this big. I was using nymphs and got myself a decent brown. So that was a... Okay, so that hackle feather rolled on me. I don't want it to roll like that. So you can flatten that out. You can flatten that stem out by grabbing your scissors and doing one of these. You got to be careful because sometimes you can break it. So I'm just trying to flatten it out a little bit. Lay it back down. Try her again. I think it rolled again. Yes, it did. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it in place and I'm going to work my way back a little bit. Keep working my way back just a little bit, holding it in place. There we go. All right, I'm going to trim that. Work my way forward. One of the things that I'm going to do on this back fly, on this back section of this articulated bug or streamer, is I'm going to tie some marabou in here. You could use some craft fur if you wanted, but I am going to tie some marabou in here because we're going to, we want to build a little bit of weight on the back of this. Not a lot, but just enough that that it's going to absorb water. So when we strip and we stop stripping, that back section is going to want to move forward a little bit on us. So I'm going to tie a little bit of flash here. Just matching colors, that's all I'm doing. Nothing super fancy. One of the things you guys saw in the last live video that I did was you guys saw that I like using Mylar cord for flash, and we are going to end up blending some orange, some kind of copper colors and stuff like that. So I'm going to take this Mylar and I'm going to cut a little bit of this, and I'm going to go ahead and take that cord out of the inside of there. I'm going to pull that out, and I'm going to fray this. Kind of fray this open here. See that? Picking that out. All the way down. Keep going. I like the way that all comes together there. I like how frayed out that gets. All right, so before you get all the way to the bottom of it, you can see how this top section is all frayed out, and then this bottom section isn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a dab of glue on there. I'm going to slide this thing there, put a couple wraps in, probably a half hitch. Okay, tighten that down. There we go. Fray the rest of this thing out, and then push. I'm basically going to push all that back. Could you have used a different type of flash there? Yeah, absolutely. I just like the way that this stuff works around the hook. And what it'll do is it'll keep adding that. Anything that you can add to your fly to give it a little bit more profiles is good. And the way that gets real bulky is I just love it. So comb that out. See how scraggly that looks? That's what I like about this whole situation here. On the back end of this, I'm going to take some of this. I've got some orange dyed deer hair. It's not super, super long, but I'm just going to put a fat profile right here on the back of that. Start blending this thing up. I'm freestyling this, guys. No particular order. Making it up as I go along. I've tied enough of these that I do know what works as far as trying to get a fly to kick. So next time I do that with this orange deer hair, I'm going to show you something. One of the things I want to show you is this is really bad hair if you were going to use it to tie a bug that floats or something. There is a stupid amount of guard hairs in this. I mean, it is like, and fuzz and everything. It's ridiculous. This would not be hair that I would want to use for something that I would want to float or spin a ton, because of the quality of the hair for that is not that good. However, for this, I don't mind it because, like I said, you want a little bit of weight in the back of this as we're tying some of this stuff up for the purpose of it having weight when you move it forward, when you strip forward. The extra particles inside that fur, if I don't get it all out, if I don't get all of the hair out of this, the extra particles that are in there will absorb water, and in return, that will cause the back end of this fly to be a little bit heavier. Sorry if you can hear my dogs barking. They're on the floor above me. But basically, that's going to hold water. It's going to add to the weight of the fly, and so when you strip that forward, that fly is going to push forward. The back end is going to push that fly more. So that's my thought process there. Anyway, there's that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take 2 pieces of marabou right here. I've got some white marabou and I've got some barred marabou. And I'm going to take and just rip some pieces off of this barred stuff here. And I'm going to tie that in on top, kind of like that. And I'm going to take the white and I'm going to do it on the bottom. Unless I've got a different color, I might have to check on that and see what I got going on. If I have a different color, I might do that actually. Let me check. Coming down to where's my marabou? I don't know where it is. Oh, it's right here. Right on top. What do I have? Nope. I don't have anything else. I don't have anything else lighter. So yeah, I'm going to use some of that white on the bottom. That marabou, like I said, will absorb water. This bucktail's kind of flaring it out. I'm going to add another piece, some more barred on top. So, Benjamin, no, I have not been out for steelhead yet. I'll be honest, and some of you guys might just totally shut me off for this. I'm not a huge steelhead guy, and I don't know why. I think it's because, for me, I don't live close enough to the tributaries to know what's going on, and so it's always hit or miss for me when I get there. The people that I do know that are doing it, and there are a couple places in the UP where you can go, and I know there's a couple places right now that I could go and steelhead fish, and I don't like those places. The places that always there's a couple rivers in the UP where everybody goes, and there's just tons of fish in all the time. I don't really like those places because if you know the spots that I'm referring to, you'll know that they're crowded, and you know they're not scenic at all. And I do prefer those types of places. So I have not been. Maybe I'll get up. There's some superior tributaries that I really like to fish from time to time. I haven't been up there yet. And so, sorry, that was kind of a long answer to your question. But I haven't been steelhead fishing quite yet. And I may not get to this year. I may not get out there yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with this, and I'm going to start blending upward. I did yellow back here. I did orange. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do probably a little bit of chartreuse in this on this front part, and I'm going to keep barring this with orange. So I'm going to keep throwing some orange marabou, barred marabou in here, and maybe a little white marabou on the bottom of this, and we're just going to keep working our way back up to the top. And so in the back here, I did some longer bucktail with these hackle feathers and some flash. I did some of this orange bucktail that's behind there, behind that marabou. I put that marabou over the top. That's going to get wet. This is going to get pushed down quite a bit. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in with just a little bit longer, not a lot longer, but I'm going to come in with a little bit longer bucktail over this orange like that, and I'm going to keep working my way forward. Yeah, Benjamin, I see that comment. Thanks for responding. It's weird. I like steelhead fishing. It's fun. It's a lot of fun, but I just haven't. I think just because it's, at least the closest water, the ultimately closest water that holds any fish for me in driving distance, that steelhead, is minimum 45 minutes to an hour. So, that's kind of my mentality there. That did not do what I wanted it to. 45 minutes to an hour for me. So I got to maybe comb some more of those guard hairs out. Oh, yeah. Yeah, 45 minutes to an hour. And so for me to take that much time and to go there, you know how it is. I appreciate the comments. I really appreciate the interaction, guys. It keeps this rolling for me. Let's lay this back in here and try her again. There we go. And I don't want that to get super crazy. I'm blending it, okay? I'm blending it. This isn't something that, I'm trying to... I'm not trying to reverse tie this and create a stupid amount of bulk. I'm just fanning all this stuff out. Taking up some space on that hook shank there. And my goal is, as far as the colors go on this fly, my goal is that this does have just a very much barred look to it. I'm just bringing this forward just so I can lock this down a little bit, and I'm going to cut those fibers off. I have some friends around here that really, really love to steelhead fish, and I give them props for it. I think it's super cool. I just personally, it's a lot for me to get out and do if I'm not living on the water and really, really knowing what's going on all the time. And the rivers that I do know, they're just so many people. So many people. I hate it. There's a few places that once trout season opens up, they start to open up as well. I can handle that. But, all right, coming in with a little bit of a different color flash. What's going to happen is I'm going from this orange copper color here. I'm going to move forward with this kind of perch color. Eventually, when I get to the front, I'm thinking that I'm going to be kind of skirting this thing in this chartreuse and green color. You can't really see that real well. Maybe I'll switch up here for you so that you can see that. That's the color that I think I'm going to move forward to in the front. This is where I'm at in the back right now, just because it's got some of those orange colors in it as well. So let me just get this out. I'm not going to do a lot, just a little bit. Just enough that it catches the eye a little bit. Just tapering those out. I'm also going to be making an articulated shank for you guys on this. I'm going to show you how I do that. Surprised how many people don't make their own articulated shanks. So it's something that I started doing a while ago and I absolutely love at this point. Okay, another piece of marabou. Making your own shanks is super quick if you've got the right tools. Oh, lost a little bit there. I've got another piece down here that I'm going to wrap in as well, just to fill in a little bit of that space. Comment up if you want to start some conversation. Ask questions, do whatever. And then let me know if you want me to play that. I got like a minute-long clip that I can play you guys in my day on the water yesterday. That came out pretty well. It was pretty sweet. It was just a really, really, really cool time on the water. Now you can see that white on the bottom of there. I'm still going to keep putting a little bit of that white in as I do this so that it represents the bottom side of a fish there. And I'm just going to take... I got some marabou here, and I'm not taking a full piece. I'm just taking just a few fibers, ripping them off, and tying them in. Nothing crazy, just a little bit. When that marabou gets wet, it likes to slick back. So what I'm doing is I'm using the deer hair or the bucktail as profile to prop it up, and then I'm taking the marabou and then I'm tying that in for my color that I want, and I'm doing it on the top and on the bottom. I'm also tying in my bucktail. I'm kind of pinching it on the side so it makes this fly a little bit taller. You know, you can see that so that it has profile this way. The reason why I'm doing that is because you want that, if you want it to kick around, you're going to give it a little bit of that sail-like profile. That's all. Weight on the back, a little bit lighter on the front. I won't use as much marabou on the front of this thing. So, let's see here. I did some orange back there. I did some green right here. Let's, what else we got? I don't know. I will, you know what? I'm going to take a little bit of yellow and put some yellow in. That way, what's going to happen is I've got yellow in the back. I've got some orange then. I've got a couple pieces of green. I'm going to come back to yellow. The reason why I'm going to come back to yellow is so that this back section kind of maintains that lighter color. And I'm going to move to some darker ones once I get up to the front. Keep the comments coming. Now on this, I'm gonna take my thread and I'm just gonna move it forward. Somebody might hang me for this. I'm moving it forward just a little bit. I'm not going right up on this. I'm moving it up just a hair. What that is you know, that's a couple millimeters there, and I'm just gonna move it up and I'm gonna tie it here. The reason why is it's gonna spin better. I'm gonna just spin a little bit of it on here, but then I'm gonna pinch it and I'm gonna make it go top and bottom. This isn't a huge chunk of hair, so Now, you can see how I'm trying to pinch that and get it to go top and bottom more than side to side. All right, we're gonna trim that. I just use this little trash thing here just to keep my those fibers shoot all over the place, but it's better than nothing. All right, I'm going to throw a little bit of marabou on this, some more orange marabou again. And then I'm going to glue it, and then we're going to build our articulated shank. I don't even know what kind of head we're going to put on this yet. I think I do, but I'm not 100% sure. Just cranking it down. There's some long stems there. I'm going to put this on here and I'm going to push it around a little bit more. Put a couple wraps on and then just work it all the way around that thing. There's a couple bare spots on there. I'm just going to go back and fill it in a little bit. You can go ahead and do that. You see like I got a bare spot right there. I'm going to fill that in. That's better. And then, oh, that's good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my white piece again, just like I said, a few fibers, not a lot. And I'm going to drop that right on the bottom, like so. All right, we're gonna glue that in. That's what we've got so far. These marabou, man, that's just gonna slick right back. That's gonna. Wish I had like a water bottle. I could spray that for you so that you could see it. But that stuff's gonna slick right back. So that bucktail will kind of protrude. It'll blend in real nice, and it's gonna add, like I said, it's gonna add a little bit of weight to this fly, which I like. I wonder if I should add just a little bit of flash in there before we close that off. Yes. Let's do, sometimes I'll just take this and I'll drop it over the back of here and look. We are going to move to green on the front. Let's look and see what this looks like. I'm going to do that, or do I want gold? Or I can do my I'm just playing around here, guys. I got rubber legs in orange. I like that. That's what's happening. That's totally happening. Yeah, I think those legs are going to be kind of cool. I'm going to take, and I'm going to tell you why I'm going to do this. I'm going to take just a tiny, tiny bit of bucktail, some orange bucktail, and I'm going to tie it in right here because I did those rubber legs, and I don't want to get them all spun up in my articulation when it comes time to build that articulation. So just a little bit. I'm defeating one of my own little rules here, and that is that I try not to crowd that hook eye on the rear shank to get better articulation so that the fly will kick a little bit more. But I think we're still going to be okay here. I'm going to take that. I'm going to push it around that shank. Tying it in just like that. There we go. I like that. I'm going to trim, just pull a little bit of those off of there. I'm going to trap all that down real well, wrap that up, and then glue it. If I decide I don't like those rubber legs when I'm fishing it, I'll just rip them off. As we move forward on this fly, we're going to change colors. We're going to turn it more into like a kind of a green color toward the front. Lighter colors on the back end, get it just a little bit darker on the front end. We're still going to use some of these oranges and whites and stuff, but we're probably going to move away from the yellow and move more toward green. So there's that for you. Real quick, stay with me. I'm going to go ahead and show you my day on the water yesterday. All right, so I lied. Actually, that wasn't yesterday. That was Friday. Totally lied. That was my bad. All right, so this is our rear section right here. We've got our rear section. Got some legs on there. That's gonna move really well in the water. This is the profile. I try to keep the top part of that profile a little bit darker, right? Bottom of the profile a little bit lighter, and then I try as much as I can to keep that narrow. It's not working real well on this one, top and bottom, but on the front we're really going to do that. Like on the front shank, this is kind of round here. This is going to have a little bit more weight because it's got the marabou in it when we're going forward, but on the front part of this fly, I'm going to get really serious about making it so that it's top and bottom, and you're going to see that as I use bucktail. So first things first, I'm going to show you guys how to make an articulated shank. So from the top down here, like my clean workspace, I did that in just a minute while I was doing all that other stuff. I use this thing. It's called a Twist Tech. All right, that's what that is. I'll give you a better view of it here. All right, that right there. That is called a twist tech. It's got an arm system on it here for twisting up metal, and you can actually use this to make like spinners and stuff. And then this top part here is used to bend wire, which I already have here. So let me go back to my top view. All right, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit for you if I can find the remote that I normally use to zoom in. Oh, look at that. We are professional right now. I had the privilege yesterday of talking to Brad Bowen. He's up at his cabin, and we did a Facebook video messenger thing for a while. It was pretty sweet. That was the first time meeting him. Really cool guy. And I told him, you know, when it comes to this video stuff, I feel like an amateur when it comes to tying, but I have all this technical stuff, so I feel silly. I feel silly. And there's other people that have so much more talent than I do when it comes to tying flies. And I have this that could probably, you know, when they had all this equipment for video stuff, they'd be like killing it way more than I would. But whatever. I just thought that was funny. All right, you see how I bent that? So this is another one here. I'm gonna take this, and it's not. So I'm not gonna tie it like this, where it's laying down. I'm actually gonna pick that up, and it's gonna be 90 degrees. So I'm gonna take this and push this around that way, and then this is gonna go here. Boom. All right. That is your articulated shank, and I totally scratched up and rubbed the silver of the aluminum all over that table. Holy cow. This isn't my table either. It belongs to the coffee shop in front. Oh, it looks like it's gonna clean off. That's good. All right, so coming back to this. All right, so we're gonna take the reason why I like making my own articulated shanks, look at the eye. I'll show you this. Look at the eye on this hook. All right. If you can see that, look at how thick the eye is on that, all right, versus that. That is huge. So what I like about this is that when I put this on, the movement that this has is insane. All right. That's why I get a lot of movement out of my flies. When I make my own articulated shank, that's not going to bind up anywhere. Any position that I hold this in, when I'm holding it like this, if I do it, it stays down. That's the test. Like I hold it by the end and I kind of twist it around. And there's a couple times like right there where I can kind of pick it up. But that right there, see how it bound? It's sticking straight out like that. You know, if I move now, it drops down. I test my shanks like that just to, you know, I try to get as much room as I possibly can in those so that I can make that happen. So if this thing hangs straight down, I love it. I'm starting to second guess my legs on that fly, on the back section. I might end up pulling those off. If they start binding in my musky fly, or pike or whatever you're gonna use this for, if they start binding in there on fish with them, those things are coming off right away. All right, coming back in. If you look at this, see how it's cockeyed? I don't know if you can see that or not, but my shank is in here and it's turned this way. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a couple wraps after I've made my own shank. That's a little bit of the downfall, is they're not as perfect. But I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna wrap it properly, and then I'm just gonna bend that wire. I'm just gonna physically bend it just a little bit, just to correct it. Now, when I look at this, now it's straight. Cinch that down. Whenever you make this on the metal, you can see here where it's not in there yet. These edges here and here, these are sharp. They'll cut your thread. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're just gonna put some loose wraps in and try to put a little blanket over the top of that. All right, and then coming all the way up here, I'm going to straighten that out. Tie this down. Anchor it like that. See how that tip is still sticking out right there? I'm going to come over. We're not going to be spinning any hair over this unless we were going to do like a Buford or something. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over the top of it. I'm just going to cover that up. All right. So that's that front shank. That was probably a little bit more than you wanted right there. Took a little bit more time. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to come in with our collar blend that's going to start to move forward. And we're going to start with chartreuse. I'm going to take a little bit bigger chunk of this now. Benjamin, that device is super sick, man. That was one of the best investments. He just commented and said the device is sweet. You've never seen that before. I'll tell you right now, man, one of the best investments I ever made. I love it. I love playing around with it. You can make full blown lures out of it, like that device there that twists. You can twist with it, and it you can put a treble hook on there. Twist it up, throw blades, throw weights, do whatever you want to do. And that, yeah, it's super sick, man. I absolutely love it. It's called a Twist Tech. So here we go. Not a lot of bucktail here. I always come in with bucktail after my articulation. So that's something that I get really serious about is creating space here and then putting a cone on this side so that this fans out around that so that this articulated shank can move around on the inside of there. For those of you that have been watching a lot of my videos lately, you're probably getting sick of hearing that. The reason why I share it so much and I'm kind of somewhat excited about it is because nobody told me that, right? I got a lot of people to give credit to in my life as far as fly tying goes. I mean, I watch a lot of fly tying videos. Kelly Gallup, Bob Popvik, Gunner. I talk a lot with guys like Bill Shearer, and I've learned a lot from them. I've learned a ton from them. But one thing that nobody ever told me was when you do a fly and you do an articulated fly, make a wedge in that articulation. Make it so that there's room for movement. Nobody told me that. So I was really, once I started getting flies that moved the way I wanted them to, I became really happy. So you saw how I pushed that deer hair all the way around there, that bucktail all the way around. That's the only time on the front of this head that I'm going to do that. After this, I'm going to tie top and bottom. I'm going to take a little bit of Mylar now, and I'm going to cut that. So I'm going to fray that out, do the same thing that I did before. Missed a couple pieces there. Oh, I'm still zoomed in. Sorry, guys. Why don't you use other kinds of flash, Seth? Why do you just use Mylar like that? I love the way that it profiles out. I don't think there's, there is some crinkle flash and crinkle hair or different things that you can get, but nothing has quite the character that this Mylar does when it's all frayed out. I really like it. All right, now on this back part right here too, on this back section, because this is up so high, I kind of want it to sit like that to match the profile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Mylar and I'm just going to fray this back part out just a little bit. When I slide this over the top of here. Oh, uh-oh. I got a problem. Houston, we have a problem. My Mylar won't. There we go. Ha, scared me a little bit. It wouldn't fit over the top of. See how that's pushing that back a little bit? Twisting that up. I'm going to hold this back and I'm going to take a couple loose wraps. There. That pushed that bucktail back just enough. Half hitch. Tighten her down. Okay, now I'm going to fray the rest of that out. Just making sure it's going around there in a balanced fashion. Wrap this up. Then I'm going to glue it. That thing looks crazy. Now I'm going to take a little bit more marabou, just a little bit more. I told you guys I'm not going to use a lot of this on this front section, and the reason why is I don't want it to add weight to the front section, but I do want it to match just in color in that first little bit there. So I'm just matching that over. Just blend in color a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit more. Blend it around. A little bit of that on top. Spin it over just a little bit. A little white go on the bottom. And a little bit more than that. There we go. This would be a perfect example of what Kelly was talking about on the video that I watched a few weeks ago, or a few days ago, and that is unnecessary thread wraps. You saw how I came super far forward in that Mylar or that marabou. I didn't need to do that. But at least I'm catching myself now, right? It's not something that somebody needs to tell me, like, I realized that I did it. That's just the start of the process of being able to get it right. All right, so what I'm going to do now, and I'm getting ready to, I'm preparing for the head on this. This is not going to be spun. This isn't going to be a, this is not unnecessary thread wraps right here. I know you're like, you just got done saying unnecessary thread wraps. I'm filling in that gap of where the, where that articulated shank comes together. All right, so that's just for barring. That was just this Mylar, or that marabou right there was just for color, and getting that in there. So that's That's the way that goes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm getting ready to blend in some more bucktail. I'm going to start stacking top and bottom. The first thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to start blending in some more of my flash. And this stuff I'm going to go just a little bit more here. Let's see what we got. That, no, I don't like that. I was going to go into that chartreuse color, but I like this. I like this kind of perchy color. This is Flashaboo. I don't see the number on it. But it's got like some greens and oranges in it. I'm going to taper that. I'm going to spread it around there just a little bit. All right. There we go. That darkened up that fly just a little bit too. I like that. Okay. Now moving to our head. So I did that chartreuse blend there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably do... I'm going to look at this here. I've got a few colors that I want to do. I'm going to take this orange color that has been primarily on the top for this whole fly. See how it's lighter on the bottom? This orange color has been on top for the back section of that fly. I'm going to take some bucktail and I'm going to put in some orange like gills here on the bottom, not on the sides. I'm going to start splitting this deer, stacking deer on top and bottom, not on the side, because I want to make this front head like a sail, okay, so that it really cuts back and forth. So I'm going to take some yellow on the bottom. I'm going to take some chartreuse on the top. Then I'm going to take orange on the bottom and then green on the top, and we're going to start blending that in. So let's start with some yellow on the bottom. These aren't going to be thick patches. Not trying to push it onto the side too much. I'm just trying to get it on the so that it doesn't have like a blank, like a flat. See that black that's kind of sticking out right here. I'm trying to make sure that's going to get covered when there we go. Hold that tight. Put a couple more tight wraps on that to hold it in place. I'm totally fine with that right there. All right, so now I'm taking my chartreuse. Same type of thing. Messy tying table, let me tell you. Subscribe to the channel and comment, and you will be entered for a giveaway of one of these 2 hats. Subscribe to the channel and comment to enter the giveaway. Trim that up. I was just looking for a creative way to do it. I feel like that camera is blown out and too bright for you guys. So I'm going to lower the ISO on that just a little bit. Maybe there. Trying. You just need the black background is all you need for my shirt. All right, so now that yellow came down, here's your profile of the front. You can see how that's top and bottom. When I glue this head, I'm also going to pinch that with E6000 in there. That's going to flatten it out quite a bit too. So now I'm taking orange. I'm moving forward just a little bit. And I'm going to do orange on the bottom. Get rid of this thing. It's kind of in my way right now. I wonder if I have a lighter green than this for the very top front. I don't think I do. That's all right. That's all right. now what I'm going to do is go, if I get darker, nope. That's right. That's what we're going to do here. Just trying to blend properly, that's all. Like I said, throw a comment, subscribe to the channel. Got giveaways going on. The live comments that you put on here actually show up and I can see them. So if you have any questions, ask away. I'd love to help out with any information. I don't claim to be the best fly tyer on the planet. I just enjoy doing it. Let's see how it's trying to kind of roll on me a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry. There you go. See how it's oop, 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 oop. It's trying to roll on me just a little. There we go. I'm being a little meticulous trimming this part down because I want to get all the way to my bare shank there as I finish this. Okay, now two more things I'm going to throw in here. Little bit of flash. And this flash that I'm using is complementing the colors that I already have in this fly. So you can see it's got that yellow, it's got the green, it's got some orange, tapering it out. And you know, maybe what I'll do here is, yeah, never mind. I'm going to cut this flash down a little bit. I'm not going to use as much. I'll use the rest of that in my next fly. For some reason, that was getting a little ridiculous. It was like rolling on me. I'm doing this on each side. Not necessarily a lateral line, just enough to keep it from going completely over the top. I don't want it to be just a solid flash fly. Okay, at this point, I'm going to grab some of my green. So I've got yellow back here. Apologize. Let's zoom this out a little bit. All right, you can see that I've got yellow hackle feathers on the tail. And it's weird, like the way you're seeing that copper flash coming through, it's not, it's actually not that bad. For some reason, the saturation on my canvas turned up a little bit. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to get some green. I believe that's what I'm going to do. So, you know, a good test to see if this is something that you're going to like is to simply, you know, take your neck and just hold it up to this and see if you think that's what you're going to want. And it is. So as I hold this up here and I look at it, I also, you know, if I didn't want to do this, I could do orange. I have some orange here. Let's hold that up and see what that looks like. You know, I could easily just decide, oh, I'm totally changing my mind on this. I like the way the orange looks. And I don't. I like the way the green looks. So it's good to try to mimic the fish that you have in your system. You know, here we're talking about for the predator fish in our system are going to be eating perch. They're going to be eating walleye. They're going to be eating smallmouth. And so that's kind of what I'm looking to emulate here. That's why I did in the back, you know, like there's a blended orange and yellow. That rolled on me and I don't want it to. Some of these guys do this trick where they take their scissors and they pinch this. My problem is when I go to pinch this, the stem actually rolls on me. I see guys who are like, yeah, pinch the stem with your scissors, but if you've got any solutions to that, let me know, because that stem will actually roll on me. Like I will freaking be in this and I'll take my scissors like this. I'll put it in here. When I close this, watch the stem. Oh, it didn't do it. Now, look. It just made me a liar. That feather made me a liar. That's all right. It's a good problem to have, that it actually worked when I said it wasn't. All right. Last little bit here. I'm thinking I'm going to do green on top and green on bottom. Or green on top. Let's do green on top and chartreuse on bottom. So let's start with the bottom. Bottom. I'm going to start with chartreuse. Let's make these a little bit longer and straighter fibers. I'm not going to get carried away on the amount. Just about done here, guys. See how that flared way up like that? I'm going to just come back in with some loose wraps and try to tame that down a little bit. There we go. But I'm also going to try to keep it on the very bottom of the shank. The other nice thing about making your own articulated shanks with loops in them that are that big is you can just literally stick your scissors inside there and trim that out. It's pretty sweet. I don't know of any articulated shanks that you can go and buy that would naturally do that. All right, last batch here of hair for this fly. Now some of these stems, well, maybe not. I was going to say some of those stems were kind of curling back on me just a little bit. See what I got there. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Keeping this on the top. So like there I've got tons of fur or hair on the inside of that. Oh, not anymore. Clipped it all out of there. I'll clean that up a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and just finish off this head. Solid thread wraps. I'm going to go ahead and glue it. And then I'll show you guys how I put the eyes on this and then make that head flat like a sail. Okay? And that's really what's going to make this fly kick. I know that seems, you know, this seems pretty standard so far. But what I'm going to do here in a second, things are going to change up on us. Okay, glue. All right. Now, real quick, I'm going to clean my area. That's going to stay out. I'm going to use that. This goes away. This goes away. This stuff goes away. Wiping all this off. That's my trash can down there. I'm not just wiping this on the floor. All right. Any questions so far, guys? I know there's still a few you watching I can see. Let me know if you got questions because I'm about to wrap this up. This is what we're going to do now. Let me go. I'm going to scoot this thing over here. I'm going to get my my bigger... See what I got for fish eyes. Kind of want to do some big ones on this, like some just absolutely huge, something just obnoxious if I have it. I think I do. Those are pretty obnoxiously big. I don't know if that's actually going to work. Yeah, that's way too big. Bummer. All right, we're going with 8mm eyes. Favorite fly tying sticker ever? Right there. Favorite fly tying sticker ever. All right, so 8mm eyes it is. I've got some right here. They're in yellow. Gonna come over. That hackle feather moved on me just a little bit. See how that right there? You probably can't. But that rolled on me again when I was tightening it down. You see how it's kind of wonky? Like if I hold it this way and go back here, it's wonky. I'm gonna try to correct that when I go to glue this. So all of these hairs here that are just sticking straight up, that's all gonna get corrected as well while I go to glue this. E6000. Crazy stuff. This stuff is absolutely nuts. Okay, this is going to get laid in, and I'm going to use a decent amount of this. Well, yeah, that's a decent amount right there. That's insane. That's on the top. I just put this on here. I need to get one of those other attachments that lets me. Now, I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't. If there's a lot of glue on that thing, you can't see it. I'm going to try with my other camera. There's a lot of glue on that clumped up. There you go. There you can see it there. Okay. When I pull this together like that, look at how it all comes. It kind of comes together. I'm going to take that eye and I'm going to put it right over the top of it, and it's going to push that in. And now I've got a little bit of it on my fingers here, but I'm just going to wipe it off like that. Put it on the liner in my trash can. I'm going to pull this back down. And I'm just going to let that sit there for a second. This stuff doesn't dry fast. That's the love-hate relationship with E6000, is it doesn't dry fast. It's and the reason why that's a good thing is because you can take a fly like this, you can take the eyes, you can put them on, and it's messy. But now what's going to happen is I pull this together and I start playing with these and I start pushing on them like that. It's a little messy on my hand. But what's going to happen is that E6000 is going to dry, and I'm pushing it in and it's absorbing into those materials. And so that's where I can turn that hackle feather and slowly start to get it to dry. And I can hold this down and I can keep kind of working that stuff in. And eventually it's going to cure. And all that stuff is going to get pliable. And so you love it or you hate it. I use it for some things and not for others. But basically that's going to take those materials and put them right where you want them. And I may even, like, if for some reason, if I don't like that, you know what I'm going to do? Come right in. I'll look at it, make sure that's something that I want to do. Gone. Now, all this material just hangs out. Look at that. See how that's hanging out now? Now check this out. When you take this fly and you look at it straight on, it's got a very vertical profile. The back end doesn't. Okay, so if I take this out of my vise, the back end has that round profile. Okay, it's wide like that. But when you get on the front end and you start looking at it like that, that front end has a very narrow profile. And when that gets wet, it's even going to happen more. And so this back end of this thing, the back end of this fly is going to be heavier than the front end of that fly. You can see how much that back end will articulate because of the space. There's a cone in that. I mean, that's huge. And so it's on top and it's on bottom. And that back end has got marabou on the inside of it. And so that's going to get heavy. It's going to get heavy. And so when we start stripping this thing through the water, you know, that's a good perch pattern for you. Maybe even get confused with a smallmouth. Maybe, you know, it's depending on what river you're in or what lake you're in and what the colors of the fish are. But it's a solid perch pattern for you guys. Like I said, subscribe to the channel. Comment on the video. Within the next week or two, I'm going to go through these. I'm going to look at comments. I'm going to select some winners. But that is your musky fly right there. And I hope you guys enjoyed this and have a wonderful day in quarantine sessions. Yeah. So, all right, guys. I will catch you later.